All right. So my podcast this morning, I've been excited about this one for a little while, is with Lizette. Say it again. Say your last name.
Zlogar.
Zlogar. Okay. Lizette Zlogar. And she is a makeup artist. And what else? You said you're a clinical...
I'm a clinical master esthetician.
So what is that?
So aesthetics is sort of like a dental hygienist is to a dentist. We are to a dermatologist. We treat disorders of the skin, chronic disorders,
Okay.
acne and eczema,
Wow.
and all different kinds of things.
So now, okay, so obviously the makeup stuff seems more, interesting as far as like, holy cow, you're making zombies and stuff. But what pays the bills? Is the other thing pay better or?
No,
no?
not better. I
No.
mean, at the level that I do makeup, not better. But in general, for people, yeah, it's clinical aesthetics. And I won't hire people unless they are estheticians first prior to being a makeup artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because of sanitation and things that
Okay.
could be negatively affected if you're not
That's
educated.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I mean, is there enough? So like the videos I saw online are like the zombie stuff, and then it's like Night of the Dead or what's the
Day
woman?
of the Dead.
Day of
the
the
Sugar
Dead.
Skulls.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
I know so many women that just love that. That's
It's chronic. Yeah, it's
right.
every year.
It's chronic.
Yeah, one year I think I did like 20 something of them. I said I'm never going to do them again. Never.
Is that right?
But I do them every year. So,
Oh no,
yeah.
they're super cool looking.
Sometimes.
I need to go through more of your pictures and find some more of that stuff. But for the YouTube, I'll post them the pictures on there. What? So okay, so how much zombie and stuff work can you get? Like, how is that even a?
That's a good
This time of
question.
year, I get it, right? It's October, so
Yeah.
like you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Do you do Halloween stuff for people?
Yeah. I book it pretty far out. So usually the Saturday prior to Halloween.
Yeah.
I'll probably work from 8 a.m. to probably 1 in the morning.
Wow.
Just
Yeah. Right.
every hour. It's
Yeah.
a different client, but the weekend prior to that, so this year it's the 16th is a witch walk, so I have some guests for that. The 19th is parties,
Okay.
so I'll do people all day for that. And then the 25th evening, I will work all through the night. And the 26th will be the big day. That's the Saturday prior to Halloween, which we book 2 years out.
Oh my gosh.
Every year. And then, of course, Halloween.
So how many people are working then in the shop for that? Like
So
I said?
I'll have 4 makeup artists with me working at the same time.
And then what? People just like what's the process? Somebody calls in 2 years ago and they're like, all right, 2 years from now,
I want to be no.
That's so crazy.
Typically, it's the people that are pre-booked for the next 2 years are
Yeah.
people that I do every year.
Oh, so they just re-up
they challenge
again.
me every year, and they know they're super Halloweenies, and they're gonna like
Yeah, right.
ask me
right.
to do stuff you can't possibly do because it's CGI in the movies, but they're like, no, you could do it.
Right,
Sure.
right.
In an hour.
Yeah.
Of course, I could do
Well,
that.
I mean, you're putting some like prosthetic kind of stuff on. I mean, like it's like
Sometimes.
some thick stuff. The
Sometimes.
big scar that was across the guy's chest. No, amazing stuff. But so do they come in with a drawing?
No.
Or
So about a month prior. So like right now, actually, we're in the process of everyone who's in my book has to tell me what they want to be so that I can start engineering. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it because if you say, like for instance, this one guy wanted to be Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Sure.
Well, okay, so I do makeup. I don't make masks. So it's a little different than like Face Off, which
Yeah.
it's mask making.
Oh, okay.
That's literally making
Sure,
physical
sure.
mask that you put on.
Oh, so like it's like a latex sort of a thing where
It's pre-made and then it's applied like a
Okay.
prosthetic. And what I'm doing in a salon is makeup. So people come to me because they don't want to wear a mask. It's really hot and you can't, drink or smoke or party with
Yeah.
it on. So I'm actually having to engineer ways to do it with literal makeup. So
Yeah.
I use at the top of what I will do prosthetically is preform a little bit of latex, like skin flaps or whatever else I might need, or use a bald cap. But otherwise, it's going to be liquid latex and actual makeup. There's not going to be, like a giant hood that I pull over their head and then apply it.
Right.
So,
It's not the Mission Impossible deal where they peel off the whole
right,
thing, right?
right. And it's not like, face molds with alginate and stuff like that. That's kind of, I think it's wonderful and I absolutely love it. And I think the people that do it are unbelievable, and maybe someday I will, but in a salon, people are coming, they're not going to pay $1 billion and not going to spend 18 hours. It's 1 hour. I have 1 hour to create, Pinhead from Hellraiser. So I had to figure out a way to, get, first of all, how do you make pins that are going to have a tip that aren't actually going into his flesh? It was some severe engineering.
So how do you I come from construction, and we have to obviously sometimes, improvise and be ingenuity is a big part of it. Because that seems dangerous almost, right? The guy, if he's got metal things and he falls down, they're going to end up in his face.
Right, yeah, that's not my problem though, because,
right?
I'm paid and you're gone and I'm done.
Oh, wow. It's just like you're just gluing...
Well, that one was quite a bit of
Not to give away trade secrets or
anything. No,
like
I teach, so I spend 5 hours on stage telling people exactly how I do stuff. So.
Right. So now a lot of this is just this. Is this something? How'd you get started? Like you just started. I'm guessing just doing makeup, just straight, regular at a place, or no?
Kind of in a way. I actually started doing makeup before there was anything in Illinois called aesthetics. Aesthetics was something that everybody in Europe did. It wasn't something in the U.S. This is way back in the early 90s, like 90. And I went to art school. I went to the American Academy downtown.
Sure.
And I got asked to do, I was paying bills for art school by modeling on the side.
Okay.
So I would get to a shoot or, be working with somebody and they'd say, hey, aren't you an artist? Can you paint clouds on this lady's face? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I did that a little bit, and then I realized that that was a three-dimensional art that was more suited to my mind, the way that my mind works.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a bit of an engineer.
You're doing that, and that's on like a living person, and it's three-dimensional and everything else.
It's not white paper that you're working on.
Yeah,
It's 3D, and it's all different colors, and sometimes color theory is more important than the actual artistic skill I have. You have to understand how light's going to work and how skin is going to work and how everything works. So anyway, I started on humans, and it sort of it's fit me really well.
So almost like a tattoo artist sort of thing has to do some similar.
Yeah.
I'm guessing if he's got a different pigmented person,
yeah,
he's
pretty
got
much. It all kind of floats together.
And then you got oily skin, and you got you're
there's
dealing
so
with all that.
Many,
oh my gosh,
so many factors.
Yeah, your toolbox has got to be huge as far as that goes.
It's pretty big.
Right, I had somebody make a joke that you were going to make me up as a Republican, and I there's not enough makeup for that. But okay, so that's pretty cool that you formally trained as far as an artist goes and everything else, and then did it kind of just organically grow into?
No, it didn't actually. No, I was doing makeup, blah blah blah, modeling on the side, and when I was modeling, I was working with a really phenomenal hairdresser that just I loved working with him. I really enjoyed it, and we went all over the place together. And the more I worked with him, the more I realized that his industry, or part of his industry, was probably where I wanted to settle. So I looked into it and found that there was this brand new burgeoning field called aesthetics, and I went to school for aesthetics. When I was in school for aesthetics, I went to Pivot Point in Chicago, and there was only one Pivot Point for aesthetics at the time. It was on Howard Street. And the founder of Pivot Point was a guy named Leo Passage, and he was this real super brilliant guy. He died a few years ago. I was sad to see him go because he changed our industry and he gave us a better, a more respectable platform of education for our field. And he was a huge mentor for me. He came to me and said, we're going to do this big show. It was like a student show, whatever, for the school. And he's like, I want you to head up a whole thing and do Halloween makeup for us. And I was like, that's right where I want to be.
Oh yeah, good.
I hadn't really done any Halloween makeup because this is back in 1991 or whatever. No one did Halloween makeup. There weren't even makeup artists working at salons at that point.
Right.
It just wasn't
no,
a
oh my
thing.
God, the Halloween thing has changed so much.
So much. So that day, I didn't have anything other than normal makeup that you would put on somebody for beauty. And I used to go to art stores and buy actual paintbrushes because there were no, nobody
Yeah.
had like makeup brush kits then.
Sure.
And I turned out some really pretty cool stuff. I surprised myself that day. And he came to me and said, I want to enter you in this competition at the Midwest Beauty Show at the time. Now it's the America's Beauty Show, but
Yeah, now
they had-
people don't understand. Like I dated a girl who was a hairdresser, or I don't know if that's the right term or not, but she would enter competitions and they would do hair, and it would be like
Yeah.
there he is, like
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think that existed, but yes, this
Oh, that industry, I mean, that's a whole, I could talk for hours on that industry and how it's changed too. But at the time, the Midwest Beauty Show was the biggest avenue for young artists to kind of show their work. They had all these different types of competitions, and they were going to do a makeup competition. It was the first year they were going to do it.
yeah.
And he said, I want to put you in there even though you're a student. I hadn't graduated. I hadn't even done enough
Sure.
hours to graduate yet. And they didn't allow amateur people to enter it. So Leo Passage himself got me my permission to
Yeah,
compete
right.
as a student.
Yeah.
And that was pretty life-altering because I probably worked that show as a model, I don't even know, 10 times prior to that year. And at the time, you had to go into a ring and you had 2 hours to complete this makeup look, and it had to be a total thing from head to toe and yakety schmackety. And I went in and I did it. I did mine in an hour and kind of looked around and realized I was going to win because there was nothing around me like me.
Sure,
so
sure,
I was
sure,
like,
sure.
this is probably going to be, I'm probably going to win. And I was done. So once you left the ring, you couldn't go back in and make any adjustments. Your work had to stand, and I had to make a decision, and I walked out of the ring, and my life changed. I won. They put my picture all over the cover of the next year's program, and it
Like a prodigy.
sort of blew up.
Right.
So then people, from that point, people started saying, hey, what about Halloween? Did you ever think about making characters? And I was like, the only thing I'd ever seen was Michael Jackson's Thriller. Remember when that came out? We were all like, what? That's so cool.
Right.
So the following year was Halloween, and my brother-in-law, Jim, came to me and said he wanted to be Worf from Star Trek.
Oh, I
Remember
don't know
Worf?
That. No, I don't.
So it was
Star Trek's not,
it was
the original Star Trek, but nothing else.
It was the new generation, and this
Okay.
is the guy who had brown spikes on his forehead.
Oh,
and
he's
then
like a Klingon or something.
Yeah,
like
Klingon.
that. Okay,
He was a big
there
Klingon.
You go. There you go. Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, the only real memory I had or thought I had or something to pull from, I guess, was my dad. When I was really little, I was like 5, my dad pulled out a picture of himself, and he'd done himself as Frankenstein, and his buddy drove him all around Joliet freaking people out for Halloween.
Yeah. Sure,
My
sure.
dad was a really big guy. He was 6'4",
There you go.
like 320.
Right.
So with his Frankenstein shoes on, he was like 7'4".
Right.
Anyway, he did himself up really cool, and he was showing me the makeup kit that he used.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he'd gotten it from a show South Pacific was running in Chicago as a Broadway show, and they gave him some makeup to use to do it, and he was showing it to me, and that was the only memory I had of like what that stuff looked like or how you would even start pursuing it. Anything else I'd done was just with street makeup that
Sure,
people
sure.
use. So I always say I draw from that split-second memory I have of my dad showing me that, because
right.
that's all I had. And I walked into work one day, and my brother-in-law sat down, and I took a latex glove, if you can believe it,
Yeah.
and I pinned it to his forehead using his own hair because
Yeah.
I had to create a bald space.
Right.
I don't even remember how I didn't have any liquid latex, so I stuck it to his head somehow. I don't even know what I used. And then I used a glue gun with low temp melt glue, and I built the spikes on his forehead out of hot glue. And then I painted the whole thing, and I hand painted the snarl on the guy's face and did the beard and everything. I still look at the picture today and can't believe how good it is. And all I had was a glue gun and some tape.
Right. No, yeah, you MacGyvered the hell out of it.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then
that's
from
amazing.
that point, people saw it. And then now everybody wanted it. So
right.
now here we are, 30 years later?
Sure. I mean, we had some Halloween growing up. I mean, it's some buddies that like best buddy of mine, John Ander. He had a whole like thing. He was in like this. He's a big tall dude too. He's probably like 6'2", 6'3", and then he put on the big stilts, and then he had a and then he would play it like he was totally covered up, so you couldn't see him. I don't know if he had a mask. I can't remember what he had on his face, but he had a complete cloak on, robe, all this other stuff, and this huge axe that he was carrying.
Oh my gosh!
And he's a big, beefy, monstrous man anyway. And he would like not say anything, and we were all like,
even
man.
freakier.
Oh yes, he's like 7'4". Like
Yeah.
what's going on here? Where'd this guy come from? So that was totally cool. But my experience growing up as a kid, like my mom did costumes for Drury Lane theater.
Yeah.
So she was terrific at making. We didn't have much money growing up, but she was terrific at making like. What was it? Started out as Dracula, and then it turned into Darth Vader. I mean, it was the same outfit every year,
the cape.
right? And then I was Batman another year.
Yeah.
You know, like it was it was amazing to just take the same outfit, and make it. I was like surprised I was never Johnny Cash. I was in black so much, but
that would have been a good
good
transfer.
transition. I wouldn't have known that, but no, that's amazing. So now, besides the dermatology stuff. Do you do proms and stuff too?
Oh, yeah.
Where people come in for makeup?
We just did, last weekend was Lincoln Way West, Lincoln Way East, Providence, Andrews, Sandburg, all their homecomings. So my staff and I will be upstairs in the spa just pounding out half-hour makeups all day
Half
long.
hour, yeah, wow.
We do proms. We do weddings, of course. We do all that stuff throughout the year. Mm-hmm.
So you're like an accountant where it's like it's super busy at this time, but then other times not as much, or is it always just
Well,
super
it used
busy?
to be that I would have ebbs and
Yeah.
flows, and now I'm just slammed all the time.
There's always a wedding. There's always something
There's always
where people,
something,
right?
yeah.
So I mean, a wedding party would come in and get all their makeup done.
Yeah.
As far as that.
Yeah.
How about so? I see on YouTube all these.
Here we go.
Yes, the people
I'm
that
waiting.
the people that there's that young guy, right, that does like.
All right.
No, it's bad.
The tutorials.
Yeah, I don't know if it's but he does he does the makeup tutorials. But this guy's like, he's got millions of subscribers and everything else. What's with are there dudes wearing makeup now? Is that a?
All right. This will be your controversial portion of the.
I don't know. I'm not trying to be. I'm
podcast.
just curious as to how we got there because
Yeah.
I mean his skin looks beautiful and wonderful, but it's a little odd for me growing up.
Here's how I look at it. I mean, I come from an industry where people being transgender or experimenting with alternative lifestyles is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
When I first entered the field, I'm a traditional person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm heterosexual. I'm married. I have kids. Whatever.
Sure.
And I didn't realize that I was entering a field that was so, I don't know how to put it. I'm not trying to be politically correct in any way, but it's permeated with outcasts or outsiders, people that otherwise, alternative lifestyle humans.
It's probably just that way.
It is to some degree, but I came also from an art background, and that wasn't really the case.
Right.
If it was, no one spoke openly about it because it didn't really matter. If your art's fantastic, it doesn't matter who you're with, or what you do.
My mom married a guy.
Yeah.
My mom married a guy that's Ned Flanders, and he's an artist.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Oakley dokley. He's as square as can be.
Right.
He's a sweetheart of a guy, but he's not in any way, shape, or form
alternative.
No,
yeah.
oh God. No.
And art itself, like I think people who do art or express themselves through art, it transcends whatever your station in life is, your color, your religion, your whatever creed you live by. Art transcends it. You can see something that you like, and it doesn't matter, who created it. It's art. So for me, coming from the background where art kind of washed away any prejudices that you may have about who created it because you liked it, going into a field where there were all kinds of prejudged moments. A lot of male hairdressers, when I entered the field, were gay, and that was a big thing. AIDS was just coming into its own, scare tactic in the media, whatever. So being gay was not accepted, obviously, in mainstream America at the time.
Right.
So
it's called the gay cancer and everything else. It was crazy.
It was bad.
Right.
But entering the field, I mean, I didn't realize what I was walking into because it didn't matter to me. This was just part of who I was going to become.
Right.
But in the ensuing years, we've seen our culture, our American culture, and our American media and our American ideas shift and accept it. And I think this may be a controversial thing to say, and I'm not meaning for it to be, but the pendulum swung all the way to the other side.
Sure.
I'm waiting for the middle because I don't care who you sleep with or fuck. I don't really give a shit.
Right.
I care about who you are as a person and what you produce, and so far as how it's going to affect my career. So I don't need to know what flavor of human you are for me to like you or dislike you. And when I see things like that where they're really bending the genders, I'm open to it because I think art in any form is great, and there's not a reason for a young guy not to explore makeup.
Right.
Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. No,
However,
if you're good at it, then be good at it.
Right.
Right.
However, if you're going to utilize that as a platform to announce your sexual preferences, I have an issue with it, and that goes for whether or not or if you're gay or if you're straight.
Sure.
I don't think in art a platform should ever be what gender you are or what gender you claim to be,
right,
or what
trying to use
color
this as
you
game.
are. Yeah.
Right.
I don't subscribe to that in anything.
Sure.
Including race and including religion and including.
Now, do you see a prejudice where somebody would prefer a homosexual makeup artist versus
this is where you get into that pendulum that I'm talking about.
Right. No, that's the thing with everything.
Yeah.
Everything always is, it was way over here.
Right.
Now we got to go way, hey, can we just...
To find the middle.
Yes, right, to find the right.
So, I mean, and I've been doing this for so long in this industry, and I've gone from being lauded as a young woman who was able to kind of explore, obviously, if you look at my stuff, a very dark place. No, I'm a little twisted.
Right.
I was lauded to then I was kind of shunned because I wasn't this, YouTube-y kind of, I wasn't a gay man. I wasn't, totally giving my life up to social media, for gains and whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was shunned a little bit. And then when people realized how contrived some of that stuff is and how edited it is and everything, and they found out that those people aren't actually very good at the craft or the art, they're just good at editing, or they're just good at manipulating media exposure.
Yeah, a persona that they're putting out there.
Then now in the past, say, year and a half to 2 years, I've been lauded again because my art is pure and I don't edit things, and now it's like, well, those people that were making their skin look like a paper plate and all that stuff, that's just editing. It doesn't really exist. We talked a little bit before we started this.
Yes,
that some people, have gained on what I'll call falsehoods, because in the end, makeup is artistry.
Sure.
And if you take a painting that somebody painted and you make a print of it and correct everything and you've made a cartoon of the art. It's no longer the art.
Sure.
And there's no difference to me. And I get pretty vehement about it because there's no difference. If I do a piece like that, you put up the sugar skull that I did.
Yeah.
That picture was taken with my camera phone and not edited in any way.
Right.
So there's art to that.
So it's a really amazing photo too. I mean, it's a well taken photo as far as the lighting and everything else goes.
Samsung, buddy.
Right. No, that's great. And so you're talking about like all these. When I see people out, it's for a guy, it's a real letdown too, because women are just using these filters so much, and I'm like, oh, you look like a freaking meth head when I see you in person.
Real life, yeah.
Right, but then you look perfectly with the stupid rabbit ears on your head and everything else.
Yeah.
Like that's all a mess. And then covers of magazines, they're so airbrushed out too.
So edited.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I actually worked with an artist a few years ago. I really respected. It was a hair artist.
Okay, to get in that microphone a little bit.
Sorry.
You're right.
I'm not good at this.
Yeah, you're fine.
Anyway, I really respected his work, and I was really excited to get the opportunity to work with him. I still work for a major manufacturer, and I travel and do shows with my partner, it's this woman, Leah Freeman. She's a really unbelievable. If you want to do a podcast, you should sit her down. She's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I will. Sometime. That'd be great.
But anyway, I was working with this new to me person that I was really in awe of his work. And post our first meeting, I realized that a lot of the work was not as good in real life.
Oh yeah, right.
And I was like, wow, that's a lot of editing.
Yeah.
And I was really turned off, so conversely, we were at a show and I watched the exact same person do some of the most unbelievable hair I've ever seen in my entire life, and thought to myself, why would you edit that? Let your work be its own art. Don't edit. Don't edit.
Sure.
I'm a real critic of photos, and my staff can tell you I'll look at a picture and completely get annoyed with editing that I detect, because art should be art. It should not be edited. Editing is an art, and there are some people that are great at it.
Yeah, sure.
But I think there should be a definite limit.
Yeah, right. Because you're kind of like, you're taking something that, people use the way they look as an expression of what they are, and you're changing that to something else.
Yeah.
Like you're making it,
it's like false advertising.
It's false. Well, and probably in some ways, like you said, someone comes in with an expectation to get this makeup done, and they saw it in CGI. Well,
right.
That's a nightmare, because that's not even close to reality.
Yeah. Which it goes back to what you were saying about the guy with the perfect face, and he's this famous YouTube dude that's doing tutorials and stuff. And we talk about it quite a bit because recently in my industry, they're called Insta-famous people, and if you take an Insta-famous makeup artist and invite them to do a shoot or invite them to do a show with you, and you get them behind a real chair on a real face,
outside of
not their
editing,
own face, because all they ever do is their own face, then they're not capable of producing the same quality of work.
Right.
And then it comes back to those major manufacturers turning to people like me, who actually can produce the work that you're hoping to get.
Some of the one guy's, that's like an empire. I mean, that guy's got
he's a billionaire now.
Yeah, a billionaire. I didn't know a billion.
Yeah, he's got millions and millions upon millions. They shit it away though.
Oh yeah, right. I'm sure, but that's crazy. So yeah, he hires actual artists to help out to get the.
No.
Oh no, he's just doing all his own.
Just keeps editing and.
Oh, okay.
There are only about 3 major houses that make all the makeup that we consume in America, and they just brand with one of those houses and redesign lines and put it out there and make.
It's crazy how popular that is, because even my sons, who have no interest in putting makeup on ever, are like, "Have you seen this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I haven't." But they showed it to me, and I was like, "That's pretty wild that that he does what he does." But back to that was just a side thing that I thought it was interesting that's a decent part of the YouTube culture.
It's a giant part, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Well, they were smart, because the beauty industry is the biggest money industry in the world. Nothing surpasses it.
Probably social media adds to that, because everybody's taking. I mean, every girl I know knows how to pose for. If there's a photo, she knows how to turn the right way.
Lips.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that mess. That's
so
a
gross.
mess. But I mean, they know how to cross their legs just the right way. Everything is like a pose that they're doing. And I mean, they're not wrong. It comes out looking better than the actual thing.
Exactly.
But
when you see them and you're like, what?
Oh yeah, right. Right. So social media adds that. Social media, for me, some of it's I got a 20-year-old daughter, and some of it's disturbing to see all these girls in the provocative situations and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, what are you doing? But and my sons were just explaining TikTok to me the other day, and I was like, oh no, that's awful.
I made my first TikTok with my daughter the other day.
Oh
jeez, it's wrong. It's all wrong. Whatever.
Now, I see, because I'm connected with you on Facebook. Your son is playing football. Yeah. So how old is he?
He's in 6th grade. He's 11.
6th grade, right? Okay. And how long has he been playing football? A couple years?
Since he was 3.
Since he was 3. Yeah. Oh my gosh, is he good?
He's really good.
Good.
He loves it. It's his whole existence currently.
Yeah.
He just loves it.
And no wrestling?
Yeah, he wrestles in the off season, but only to condition for football.
Yeah. No, I know. Where does he wrestle at?
Providence Celtics.
Okay. Yeah. So we would see it. Then I coach at the Lincoln Way Wrestling Club out of West and Central. Now wrestling's an awesome thing for
Yeah,
conditioning. For
he
football.
loves it for that. He thinks it's
Yeah.
just made him such a better athlete.
Oh yeah, well there's
Yeah.
professional John, Madden would be a guy that would be like, all of my football players should have
Yeah.
wrestled at one time.
Yeah.
No, it's a terrific thing for that.
Yeah.
For me, wrestling's the love, football.
Yeah.
I had my boys play football just for shits and giggles because they, it's a good social thing. There's people care about football way more than they care about
Which,
wrestling.
I get it and stuff. It's like the lights, the whistles, the blah, but
Yeah.
wrestling helped him understand body movement and how to predict body movement and stuff.
Sure. Now, what position does he play?
Well, he's played a lot of positions, but he's a big guy for his age.
Yeah, I seen the
He's
pictures.
pretty big.
Yeah.
And he plays the line. He was last year he played middle line, and they actually had him on the O-line a little bit. They put him in just to take a guy out kind of thing because he was
Right.
bigger than the rest of the dudes. And then they had him run the ball last year, and he had their only touchdowns that they got.
Nice.
So I think that's going to happen next weekend, actually. For them.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, the wrestling would help with hand
Yeah.
fighting and all that other
Absolutely.
stuff, so it's good. And I know there's a lot of guys that are in wrestling there that just absolutely love football as far as that goes too.
Sorry, the cat just got on my pants and didn't get off.
Sorry, yeah. He's got some sharp claws. But yeah, so anyways, the makeup stuff and the prosthesis stuff, I will post some pictures and stuff on the YouTube video. The people on they're listening to the auto Sario, but check her out on social
Yep.
media. What's it cost? What does it cost for someone to come in and get a full hour?
Well, it depends on what they ask me for. It can range.
Oh, yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
it's $60. It's nothing.
No, that's not
I'll do
bad.
it as a quick paint.
Right.
But if it gets more and more involved, I think the top I've only ever charged. I'm only going to go as high as like $220. I'm in Frankfurt, so
Right.
I'm not. If I were downtown, it would be a completely different story. But I like to be affordable, manage my time, do as many
Yeah.
people as I can
Right.
fit in.
I mentioned that too. You're between Trail's Edge and Fat
And Fat
Rosie's
Rosie's
there.
at
That's where the
Fuse.
salon's at. I've seen some people. Tony was
Yeah,
saying, they
Melito.
do some. Yeah, Melito
What
was
up,
saying.
Tony? How's your nose, by the way?
What happened to his nose?
It's a funny old story, but he was the little brother of a friend of mine in high school, Paul, and he was a good friend of this kid that was the younger brother of a guy that I dated in high school, Jeff Catula.
Okay.
And we were going to play War
Jeff
on.
Catula does home inspections.
No, that's Mike, his older
Mike,
brother.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Jeff is he's a doctor of kinesiology.
Oh,
He
okay,
teaches
okay.
at Wake Forest. But anyway, so I met Tony out on the golf course one day. We were going to play War at Prestwick, and I don't know, he said something, and I decked him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a pretty
Wow,
funny story.
that is funny. Holy
He's
cow.
so sweet, though. I can't believe I ever did that. But whatever.
Nice.
He's a good guy. Yeah, but his daughter is friends with one of my new employees.
Right,
Yeah.
Ashley or whatever it is
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the turnover there? I mean, your employees that come in, are they all because I suspect this is moving or building in a direction still, like as far as like from the way you talked about it, you're kind of like just pioneering this thing when you started doing it. It was just like, all right,
Pretty much.
some duct tape and some glue, and here we go.
Yeah.
So is it becoming more and more mainstream? Where,
It is.
I mean, you said you're
Yeah.
teaching it, so
I teach. In our industry as an esthetician, you have to maintain your license to practice with 10 hours of
CE.
continuing education.
Right.
So now in my career, I teach that. So
Now so we do CE for the real estate broker stuff, and it's good because it keeps people current, and there's a lot of agents out there that don't do very many deals, so they need to refresh themselves on stuff. And then there's ethics tests and stuff like that. What goes on with the CE there? Do they go over new stuff, or do they go over?
Well, I mean, this particular renewal year, I taught an acne class. I'm an acne specialist, so we teach. I mean, the kids coming out of school don't have very much intense education on some of the things that are going to happen every day in the room while you're working. So
Right.
I'll take them and mentor them through the end of their school, and then they'll come, for continuing education, and we'll teach like new methods, new chemicals, new things that we're using in order to get the desired result. There's not another place for them to really gain that knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's better if they get it from someone like me who spends hours and hours and hours in the room treating, rather than just the occasional facial or whatever. For every hour that I work, I average a facial for every hour. So
boy, that's a pretty interesting combination, because I mean, makeup has its adverse effects on people that have acne.
Not anymore.
No, huh? It's like all hypoallergenic or whatever.
Well, there are certain products that are made just for use with acne.
Okay.
And actually, sometimes it can be a barrier against free radical activity and help the acne heal.
I always thought it was, something that would help clog the pores.
Yeah, there are still some really shitty brands out there that'll do it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, because I just thought, those poor girls that are, and I always felt like when I was talking about I didn't even know it was going to be like, what you said was very interesting as far as the whole gender thing and everything else in the makeup industry, but women have it so much tougher. Oh my gosh, like the expectation on you guys as far as the way you look compared to a guy. I've never wore a stitch of makeup in my life. And I mean, I was like, on the punk scene and everything else. I got real close to some mascara once.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no. But
1985.
Yes, right. I mean, I had a mohawk and the whole thing.
Paint one nail.
Yeah, right. There's almost nothing. I'm pretty much in English class piercing my ear. But, so nothing. But, like, I wake up, I keep my hair short. I kind of wake up looking just pretty much like I do when I'm walking around. But a woman, like,
it's totally different.
Oh, totally different. And some ladies get away with, like, they just have, I don't know, good skin. They don't wear much makeup to begin with. Other ones would never leave the house without the full array of stuff on. But it's amazing, like, the standard that we hold women to compared to guys.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm a heterosexual guy. Dudes are ugly. And they're still just walking around like, yeah, this is me, man. I got the, baggy eyes or whatever's going on. And, women, you can't, like, get away with any of that.
No, we cannot.
Right.
We cannot. It's something I face every day. I think I have an advantage being a woman in my industry.
See, I thought there would be some backlash to that. Like, don't you ever get, like, some, like, hippies that are, like, upset with you making unrealistic images of...
No, because everybody that knows me or comes to know me knows that I'm 51 years old, Mm-hmm. I don't have any special genetic makeup, and preservation is part of my field, and I think we, as women, we're taught to kind of band together and help each other. Mm-hmm. So when they hear that, I can do all this stuff, but I myself have to do it to me too.
Yeah,
it sort of levels the playing field a little bit.
Your skin looks great too. I mean, it does. I mean, I'm in person.
Years of work.
Right. But yeah, I just, sometimes, and I guess I would prefer to be around women who, smell nice and look nice versus the ones that, like, got BO and hair under their arms and everything else.
Of course.
But some of those seem to get really, really, they're always the ones protesting and stuff like that too. So I didn't know if you ever had any trouble with...
I do have some clients that are, what I'll call granola eating, Birkenstock wearing.
So what are they in there for?
Well, they come to maintenance their skin.
Okay, there you go, right.
But they're also the ones that closetly perm and dye their eyelashes, and they get their brows waxed and everything else so that they can wear no makeup and still look like better than.
Now, I would almost think there would be a market for guys, because
we do tint guys' lashes and stuff. Guys that are really, really blonde or really, redheaded guys or whatever.
Yeah.
They come in and get their lashes and brows tinted so that you can see them, and it looks much nicer.
Oh, so you look a little more distinct look to them.
And I treat a ton of young men for acne.
Oh,
a ton of young dudes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Athletes, I would think too, because I mean, played football and the chin strap
is the killer, and it's just. I'm currently going through it with one of my. He's an unbelievably handsome, talented football player at East, and his chin strap is killing him right now.
Right.
So I'm seeing him every 3 weeks. Yeah.
But I mean, even guys tend to work outside a lot too, and stuff like that. Like just bad.
And they
on
don't
their
wear
skin.
sunblock.
Or they're riding a motorcycle and stuff like that. No sunblock.
No, they don't wear it. Yeah.
So I mean, do you do stuff like? Does a facial help with that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we treat. all those things are chronic assaults to the skin.
Yeah.
So we treat it chronically with skincare at home, like what you use in the shower, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then see you for a facial here and there. Just make sure you're moving in the right direction. But yeah, guys do
So
it.
are you pretty good at diagnosing like that's basal cell you get going on there?
So the
skin
law
cancer?
states that I cannot diagnose, but I
Okay.
can identify the lesion.
There you go. Okay, and then
That's
tell them
the
to go
law.
to a dermatologist.
And then we recommend where they should be seen.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I would think, working with skin all the time, and there's quite a few. I've had a couple of basal cell, little things removed
It's
and
more
stuff.
and more common. Mhm.
Yeah, just from working outside, and then my hobbies were fishing and hunting and stuff like that. But so I would think that a market for guys. I just wonder where that goes. 20 years from now, if everybody's completely made up and like
Well,
everything.
I think conservatively, being from the Midwest and I don't personally, I don't like to see a guy in makeup. I mean, if you're a gay guy and you like to see a guy in makeup, I'm not saying that's wrong or anything, but just for me personally, even if, I'm looking at a guy let's pretend in my head that I am gay, I still want to see a guy look like a guy.
Mm.
And I think enhancements like tinting their lashes rather than putting mascara on is to me more palatable.
Absolutely.
And I know
Sure.
I'm a conservative Midwestern, but to me
Now,
that's
what about for a
even
little
for
while?
women, so.
A little while there, tattooing was getting.
it's still huge. It's called microblading. They don't just go in with a tattoo. What do you call it? Stylus. Pen.
Like they would tattoo the lipstick
They
on
do
and
it.
stuff.
Mhm.
And
I actually
everything
have
else.
I have a blader that I bring in from Florida every 8 weeks, and she's phenomenal. She even does a 3-dimensional areola replacement for women who lose their nipples.
Oh,
or
really?
even
For
men that
breast
lose their
cancer?
nipples.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and now the technique isn't just the tattoo that turns purple and looks terrible.
Right.
Now it's more delicate, and they have kind of isolated where they put the pigment inside the skin tissue. So depending on what you're looking for, it can be placed very lightly into the surface, or it can be placed, much, much more deeply into the surface to cover pore tattooing or whatever. It's an art. It's a complete art. And
Right. I mean, do you ever get somebody that's got maybe a birthmark or something?
That's
and then...
a wonderful use for it, a great practice for it, but it has to be a very skilled artist to do those things correctly.
Make it worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, what about being from the Midwest, we're pretty sheltered as far as things go. Are there trade shows where you'd go to Las Vegas or go to
huge.
California?
Yeah. There's one coming up right now.
I'm totally cool with the transgender thing. I can understand that if you were born and you always felt that you weren't, this wasn't right, I get that. I don't think anyone would choose that just out of the blue. I think I need some
it's
attention.
A conflict that's
It's a terrible, terrible place to be. Definitely heart goes out to those people. But I saw a guy he was from Portland or Seattle or something, and his goal was to degender. I didn't understand it at all. He was in a dress. He had a woman's hairdo and a beard. It was just the most confused. It was he was trying, and his goal, I think, was to confuse you as far as they went. And then he had hairy arms and hairy legs, and I'm all right, I'm lost. But he was on some crusade to. So being from the Midwest, this I looked at it like a train wreck for about a half an hour, and I'm the whole half hour went by, and I still did not get what was going on.
Well, and I think it's
there.
okay to not get it. I think it's okay to not get it, and I think we should all, as a society, let that pendulum come back to the center and say, that guy is that guy, and it's okay for him, but we don't have to rewrite society to fit that 1%.
Oh, God, right. 1%, probably 0.00, right,
well,
so
and
small.
But let's make it broader and say the 1% of people that have serious conflicts or serious problems or whatever, or even mental issues, too. I mean, it's sometimes we tend to shun people that have mental or emotional disabilities and things that make them do and say things that are not mainstream, and we shouldn't shun them. We shouldn't shun people that have the gender conflicts or whatever, but we can't change all of humanity to fit that 1% of person. So let's not try to do that. Let's let the person be who they are, that person, not make everybody else the same as that person.
No, right. I think that's what this guy's thing was, that he wanted no genders, and I'm
right.
No, there are genders, and there are women that, I mean, I dated a lot of women. There's women that really, really are girly girls, and then there's women that are like, not so much.
Right.
Like, there's a big spectrum of that.
And it's okay to be unique.
Anybody, yeah, be whoever you want to be. I mean, that was part of the whole, like, I got to, my son had a assignment for his English teacher who I went to school with. We knew each other growing up, and
At West?
No, I went to Central.
I went to Central too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she was at Central, and she's an English teacher at West. Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry. And
I think my daughter has her right now.
yeah, okay.
Yes.
Well, an assignment was to give a memory of, the 80s. Get one
Lord.
from your parents. So
Oh,
yes,
man.
right. So right, I was like, well, there's a lot that are inappropriate, but we can go ahead and go into.
For all of you that knew me in high school, it's completely inappropriate.
Is that right? That's funny. So
I had a good
so
time.
I gave him. I go, well, listen, music was totally different then.
Yes.
You had to go, like, we would go to Red Tower Records. We
Yep.
would go to a record shop in the city. Go
Crow's
to
Nest. Remember
Crow's
Crow's
Nest in
Nest?
Joliet. I kind of forgot about Crow's Nest until just now, but we would go there, and I go, you would like spend hours sifting through things, looking for some bootleg thing
Yeah.
from this concert or whatever, and then there was a booth or headphones there, and you could
Yes.
play it and
You
listen
could
to it and be like, oh yeah, I'm
sit
gonna
and
buy
listen
that.
to it, yeah.
Right. And I go, now everything's just on your phone.
Right.
You're not, ever, put onto anything new because you're not,
Right.
nothing like that. And then I went through and I had to explain like punk rock to my son, who's, it was he got it in the end. But I'm like, punk rock is, the picture of Johnny Cash where he's flipping you off. That's punk rock.
Yeah.
It's anything that like says, I don't care about your rules. I'm going to do exactly what I
Right.
want to do. Like, people have this weird thing where they think that someone that's like in the punk scene is trying to be cool. They're actually just trying to non-conform.
Right.
So it was like, I'm not
Be
trying to be
themselves.
cool. I'm just trying to be like,
Yeah.
not like you. I'm not wearing the little polo shirt, and I
Right.
got my haircut just like the other 5 guys get their haircut. I'm saying, fuck all your rules. I'm going to do
Right.
whatever the fuck I want to do. And he was like, thinking it was pretty cool in the end. I'm like, it does end up being cool because it's standing on your own and
Right.
doing your own thing.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And,
And I go,
we
you can
accepted
be-
that for what it was.
Right. You can be punk rock in anything. You can be like, if all your friends are vaping, you can be like, fuck you, I'm not doing that. You could be, nowadays, you could be punk rock by not getting tattoos.
Right.
Because
Everybody has tattoos.
Aaron's got tattoos. So I go, you're the guy that's saying, I don't care what everyone else is doing, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Which, he thought was pretty cool. But the makeup stuff's got to be that way. And I've always been cool with that. So like, if the guy wants to have a beard and a dress, and
I
hey,
mean,
do what you want to do.
but don't put it on me. I mean,
I didn't run around going, I got my clippers, I want to cut everyone's hair into mohawks.
Right.
We're not doing that.
Right.
Now with the trade show stuff though, with that in mind, if you go to California, is there a completely different? I mean, the country's a big country, a lot of different places. New York's got to be different.
I mean, I think in the past few years, I think there's been an awful lot of attention put on the shows that are on, like Face Off and
Yeah.
the different makeup shows, and I think people have kind of maybe a skewed view. They think that that's makeup. It's actually mask making. It's two different things
Sure,
like we
sure.
talked about, but makeup in its entirety doesn't extend that far. So when I go to the trade shows, a lot of them have been taken over by companies that are
Mask makers.
mask makers or prosthetic makers, which
Right.
is just so beautiful art. It really, really is. But there's that, and then there's what I'm doing,
Yeah,
which is
right.
so separate. So there's actually a makeup show coming up the 5th and 6th in Chicago, and it's just a vendor show where they'll have like some of the major manufacturers of all kinds of makeup, stage makeup and whatever.
Could you slide that open, that door? Sorry.
The cat needs
yeah,
to go
yeah,
out.
needs to this area there.
Anyway,
I screwed that up.
they'll have like
Either one, doesn't matter.
they'll have like
No, not that.
Oh, hold
The
on.
pantry. There you go. There you go.
oh
His
litter
situations.
box.
I think,
Yes,
yes,
the
right.
situation. So anyway, they'll have like Ben Nye is a huge maker, and they make latex, fake blood, I don't know, makeup, all different kinds of makeup and pigments and blah, 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 and they'll be at this show. So to
Okay.
me, that kind of show I'm more interested in now than
Sure.
hoofing it to California to see a lot of mask making, which is
Right,
it's
right.
becoming so prevalent. There's one of the guys that I think he won like the first or second face-off, and he's in our area, and he's
I've
really
never seen
talented.
the face-off thing. Is it just like Halloween masks, or they're
It's
just
like you'd have to see the show, but they tell them, okay, you're going to make this character that has to fulfill all these requirements, and then they spend, hours making
I'm gonna
these
check it out.
alginate
Yeah.
molds and everything, and it's this huge character with like,
now? What's that on? Is it on like Netflix or on like
Bravo.
Hulu?
I don't know. It's one
Yeah.
of them. Yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah.
I'll find it. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
But so I mean, but it's big time stuff. It's like it's dramatic.
Huge, it's huge, like character making with prosthetics and big blow foam latex, blah blah blah. Huge
Got it,
horns
right,
and everything.
right,
That's
right.
separate from what I'm doing. To take the prosthetic that they make, if they make like a furrowed brow or whatever, I
Yeah.
can take that foam prosthetic and apply it and do makeup.
Yes,
that's
right, around
part
it.
of what I
Sure,
do.
sure.
But the reality is like that portion of my industry or that mask making is not part of what you would do in my position at a salon.
Got it. Okay. So now, is there anything ever that, like, somebody comes in, they're like, all right, it's Halloween or whatever they're going to do, and you have an idea as to something, like, do you ever, as the artist, just be like, all right, just let me do it, and I'll make you into whatever does anyone ever let you just work that?
Kind of.
Yeah?
Sometimes. It's taken a lot of years.
Right.
That's why I do the shoots leading up to Halloween. So
Okay.
that's me expressing some things that are in my head
Yeah.
that I want to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it leads to people wanting then also to have it
Right,
done.
right.
So it helps me a little bit. Like the guy that you referenced earlier that I sewed.
Yeah.
That was just something in my brain that I wanted to do. So I expressed it before Halloween. But for Halloween, it's more or less, I think last year they came in and said that there was the guy, the Night King from Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Yeah, right. How am I going to do? First of all,
What was that?
it's the Night King, right? The
Night King?
white guy.
Yeah, the white dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
spikes
yeah,
all over his head.
Yeah, right.
That's the other thing about me. I never watch any shows like that. I don't watch horror. I don't watch anything because I don't like my work to be influenced.
Oh, really?
I know, isn't that weird?
I would think that you would
Nope.
watch horror,
Nope.
right?
I
No.
don't, and I watch nothing where there's
Huh.
extreme makeup because I don't want to like shift my thoughts and like think into what they've done already.
You'd almost be like copyright stealing. You
I don't like that.
Right.
So
right,
when people
right.
ask me to do a character, I have to go online and look it up and blah, blah, blah. And that was one of them that I had to do that. And it was basically this guy that I did it on. I love him. He's so great. Boogeyman, check him out. He's so great. I do him every year. And every year he asks me to do something that's completely impossible. It's like not
Nice,
possible.
nice.
I mean, a few times I've had to actually one time I had to shave half of his head. And he had to let me because there was
Yeah,
no
right,
other
right,
way
right.
to do it,
Sure.
So he's pretty pliable. He's a great, great victim. But he always brings me something that's not possible. I
Now,
can't
the
do
one
it.
you did, the video that I saw, is that a bald cap that you put on him? Or is
Which
that
guy?
The zombie guy with the sewed up.
He's bald.
He is bald.
He's bald.
Okay, I
I'm
didn't
actually
know.
doing him in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Another thing that can only be done if you're a bald guy.
Is that yeah?
I like using him because he loves Halloween. He's super Halloweeny and
Yeah.
he sits really still for me and he's pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good victim. But yeah, certain people. I mean, if you ask me to do something, I mean, I had a guy for Beetlejuice last year or the year before, and I so desperately wanted to just bring his hairline back a little bit with the shaver, but he wouldn't go for it.
No, right.
Yeah,
right,
it sucks because I want it to be perfect, but
Exactly. Look.
I don't
right,
post
right,
those.
Right. Oh, right.
I
right,
just
but
am
don't
like,
look
oh no,
exactly
you look
right.
great, bye.
You don't want to be like mom's makeup
No.
setup, right? What you call it? So that's all super interesting as far as the videos and stuff go. Oh, great.
The cat's
The cat's-
here.
yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if you can see it.
I know he's been an absolute nightmare for this podcast. I mean, he couldn't make more noise and do more, but
I like him. He likes me.
Yeah, no, he thinks he's in charge of the place for sure.
Cats like me. I don't know why.
I think as I told you before the podcast, I'm not a cat person, but
I'm a dog person, but this cat and me, we
Yeah.
go way back,
Yeah,
all the way to prior to the podcast.
right. Yeah, he definitely tries to get himself on there as much as he can. I would think that the guy thing, I would think it would be a good idea for some guys to go in and get their skin taken care of as far as like, you were saying you don't like to see a guy in makeup. But it's probably not bad to see a guy that's got good skin.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like that would be something good. I'm surprised some guys didn't do something like that with, as far as like we just had our 30-year reunion at Trails Edge,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
some people
It's
come in
coming.
and get,
Believe me.
Yeah,
The
right.
wave is moving through the U.S. and it will be more and more men that pursue aesthetics. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean that just makes you look clean, right?
Right.
Like not, you
right.
know.
Whenever I'm doing a young guy, I always, instead of calling it a facial, I call it a cleaning, because they don't like to hear. Oh, sorry.
Right.
Wow,
Right.
the word facial. But yeah, it's coming. Believe me, more and more men will pursue it because they want to look good too. You know.
Yeah,
They're-
yeah. I
they're-
mean, for the most part, if you
Yeah.
really look at people, they're kind of blotchy and
Right.
like, you get, especially as you get
Yeah.
older, you get like liver spots and everything
Absolutely.
else and sunspots.
Yeah, and all those
Um,
injectables can't cure any of that. You have to actually see an esthetician to look good. So.
Injectables.
Oh yes, don't start me on the injectables rant. I'm not going
I'm
to do
sorry,
it.
no, I don't
I'm not
know
going to
what-
do it. Injectables are like Botox, Restylane. things
Oh,
like that.
oh.
Yeah, I'm not. An advocate.
Yeah, right. Okay, no.
I
won't.
myself have none, and I'm not an advocate of it.
Right. I've seen actually someone I know was at a party and she works for a place up by 191st Street or something. I
Yes.
don't know
Yeah,
where, and
yeah,
they
Southwest
do, right.
med
They
spa.
do
Mhm.
all kinds
Yeah.
of like stuff, and she said that they're doing hair plugs and
Oh yeah, they just do everything.
well, I always make a joke about that stuff. Like when you actually start altering
Yep.
stuff, I'm like, what if you got married to some girl and she had all that stuff done, and then you had kids, and it's like, wait a minute, why does the kid look like that?
well, there's
you know,
also, Bill. There's the future of it. People want the now,
yeah,
but there will be a future. There will be the whatever action. There will be a reaction or
sure.
gravity and age
Yeah,
and time will change the way those alterations look, and it's usually not good.
Right. Well, you just keep looking more and more surprised, right, when they keep raising your
That might be one thing.
the Burt Reynolds deal
Yeah.
where they keep changing his face.
Yep.
So
Not a
yeah,
fan.
plastic surgery and stuff like that is not something that goes with this is
Aesthetics.
Yeah, kind
I
of.
mean, it does go with it, but and this is an area where we were talking about, unicorn humans. I'm one in my field because I'm probably the only esthetician you'll ever meet that doesn't advocate any of that.
Oh wow.
I'm not
Wow.
into it.
Yeah, that's.
I don't think it's necessary.
Right. No, and you.
And I just am never going to change my mind. So.
Right. I mean, the proof's in what you do. So,
Right.
I've seen the pictures and stuff like that. I don't see a lot of, I do see some pictures that you post of, just the regular straight makeup, the like women.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
have-
people, honestly, you asked me to come today because of the crazy shit I do, not
Yes,
because of the
yes,
normal stuff.
right.
I mean, there are a few things that I've done with people that have, big birthmarks or acne or whatever, and I don't post those because it's kind of demeaning for a person
The before and after
to not
would be no
feel
good.
great about themselves. So,
Right.
and I've been criticized for that too because, people are like, well, that's what everybody wants to see. Yeah, but the person comes first, and I don't think it's right to post those kinds of things.
Sure,
I had
sure.
one girl a long time ago. It's still on my Instagram. She actually asked me to do it, and it's up. I put it up there. It was,
She was super happy with the results, right?
and she was very confident about what the choice she made to have her makeup done that way. So she asked me to post the before and the after.
Right.
It's the only time I've ever done it.
So, okay, so if I came into the studio and I'm like, all right, work on some of my wrinkles or whatever like that, can you, like, like facial, whatever,
Yes.
cleansing, whatever like that, what's that run? And what kind of time? Is that like a half an hour thing or an
With
hour?
me or one of my staff members, because I can't take new guests right now. I'm pretty packed.
No. Right, well, I guess when you're staff, I'm not, probably won't come in anyway, but just curious because
A
I
first
think
time facial with the staff at my salon is $80.
$80,
Yeah,
okay.
and it includes, it's going to be all customized to whatever your issue is. So,
yeah, so if you got oily
yeah,
skin or dry
it starts
skin.
from, you fill out a medical chart, and we go through every single habit that you have, what you do, what you don't do, and then they customize the service to fit what you're,
Anything covered by insurance?
well, not where we work, no,
Okay.
but there are some places that do aesthetics where it can be covered if you have a severe disorder.
If you come in and you're a guy, you got oily skin, and you get, a treatment, is that something that like, okay, now it's
I don't want to cough in the
that's right.
microphone, sorry.
So then is it now an ongoing thing where you just have to keep coming and
No, you
getting
don't.
it done?
Yeah, I mean,
or-
what you do at the sink every day or what you do in the shower every day will give you your result,
Yeah.
more or less. But we should be a sort of a signpost along the way. So usually the goal is to get people to, not only if you want to come more frequently, but you should be able to make it to 6-month mark without,
Sure.
seeing us and still be in a healthy way.
Well, ever do anybody famous or anything like that? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I hear the story?
I mean, I don't usually talk about it.
Oh no. Okay, that's fine. That's
I worked for a really big manufacturer for 23 years.
okay.
And they hosted one of the largest industry events in our industry, basically. It was like 10,000 attendees. And they would always have a performer come to the show and, perform for the attendees.
Sure.
And I was privileged enough to get to do
Yeah.
makeup on all of them. And
That's neat.
yeah, I got to
No,
do
no
some really
movies,
cool
anything
things.
like that. Like, I mean, I'm guessing that there'd be something that would
Yeah, I mean,
come up.
no, I've said no a lot of times to having to travel to California.
Oh, okay.
It started right when I started in the industry. My dad passed away in 1988, so I was just beginning my career at that
Sure.
time, and I was not willing to leave my mom to go do it. I would
Yeah.
I would have had to.
Yeah.
So I have my mom to thank for that. But anyway, I've gotten to design a few things. There was a really cool Broadway show in Chicago at one point, and they asked me to design the makeup for one of the characters was Einstein, and so I got to design it, teach it, and provide everything. And I love that part of it. I love to teach, but if you asked me to do that same makeup every day for that, I would probably kill myself. So
Oh, right,
I'm
right,
just
right.
I can't do the repeat thing. So that part of the industry does not appeal to me, but I'm very happy to design and teach.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
So
to do it.
what is your favorite part of it now? Is it the teaching part or the?
I think I'm a competent teacher, and it doesn't faze me to teach. I teach to really large groups, like 500 or more people, and it doesn't bother me. So I guess that's probably where I should be,
Yeah.
And I also host estheticians privately in my room with the door closed with my guests for the final portion of their aesthetics schooling, and I do really enjoy that, and it helps my mind keep going forward. So I think that's where I'm supposed to be. But if I had to say what do I like doing best, it's Halloween makeup, special
yeah.
effects, and I like teaching special effects.
Oh, that was the people that were my one friend Bill on Facebook. He's such a Halloweeny guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. The whole month is, he's,
Yeah.
as soon as the October 1st happens, he's
It's
getting
like
all
bam,
excited.
bing, we're off. Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So they're super excited to hear about that stuff, and I'm sure they'll be thrilled to see the pictures I'll put up and stuff from it. But that's definitely the most interesting.
It is, for
thing
sure.
about it. It's
Yeah.
super neat, and I love the the time lapse
The
stuff.
hyperlapse, yeah.
That's just on your phone too.
Yeah, I have a Samsung, and it was one of the like in the phone programmed things.
Yeah,
And
right.
I started the minute I got the phone. I'm like, well, I wonder if that would help me, because it's hard to post onto social media. I'm sure there are people, but I'm not interested in sitting and watching something for an hour. I don't.
No,
I have no
right,
interest
right,
in it.
right.
But to see the hyperlapse is
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
pretty cool, and it
It's
gives
awesome.
you an overview. And I have a lot of students, again, all over the world. There's actually a school in Italy that follows me very closely and uses my
Nice.
hyperlapses and stuff to talk about it, because it's in Italy. It's not really Halloween isn't a really thing,
Okay.
And they're just now they have like. In Rome, I know they have like a bunch of parties every year, and it's like American Halloween party.
Halloween, yeah,
They want to
yeah.
do the makeup, and I have a couple artists there that follow me really, really closely and use those hyperlapses to kind of understand the process or the steps in which
Sure,
you need
sure.
to do. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's neat. Let me think of anything else I had that I was curious about as far as the makeup stuff goes. Do you got a YouTube channel or anything like that?
No.
Do you do any?
No, don't make fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you. No, I'm just.
I know. Everybody in the world is like, why don't you have that? Why don't you do that? I'm like,
Yeah, there'd probably be some.
I know. I'm
pretty-
sure there would
I mean,
be. My son is on me all the time about it, but I'm just
Yeah.
I'm a late comer to the whole Instagram and Facebook thing with my art, because when I started putting it up there in like 2010, everything on social media was so edited, and I was so visually offended by it. I didn't want to be part of it, so I didn't really start doing anything with like social media for real until a few years
Yeah.
ago, because I just was so like, are you kidding? And when I started, and when you watch me post, I always post no edit, no
Yeah, right.
stuff, because it's just literally every single person that I see puts up edited photos of makeup art, and I think that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. Why is that acceptable at all? The art should be what you see in front of you and nothing more or less.
Right.
So
I agree.
I'm a late comer to it on purpose. I really didn't want to be part of that group, and I still don't want to be part of that group. I don't edit things for a reason.
Sure.
And my art is my art, and I teach with my skill only. I'm not interested in seeing any.
It's probably more fulfilling for you. It's probably more fulfilling that people show up and I sell real estate and I get a professional photographer to come in to photograph stuff, and a lot of times I'll generate a lot of traffic to the property, and some of the feedback will be, well,
it doesn't really look like that.
Nope.
Yeah.
Right.
This room looks much larger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, larger, and then like the photographer does a thing where they take it's filtered, so they take 7 photos and they kind of lay them over top of each other.
Right.
The hardwood floor pops more.
Right.
Everything.
Right.
It looks awesome in the pictures, and they show them they're a little let down. My job is to get traffic to the place, so that's what I do. But I do deal with that, and it's never going to create a sale.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But I got to get people in there, because then if they go look at other homes and it's still one of the better ones, and they'll buy it. But in your business, if people were at the end, this is not anywhere near as good as I thought it was going to be, that'd be a letdown for you.
Exactly. Especially for students. I just taught a 5-hour special effects makeup class.
Right.
Imagine coming to my class and all the pictures you see are so edited, and what I'm showing you on stage looks nothing like any of it, because I can't really do it, and I don't really. It's not possible.
Sure.
One of the biggest things I pride myself on for those classes is that everyone walks away with a finished skill that they can actually apply in the salon and make money from, and it's not bullshit, and there's no editing, because this is real life.
Do you go through that with them?
I do.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a very important culture part
it
of
is.
it.
I had a conversation with a girl who I'm mentoring. She's this fantastic young woman. She was at my class. I actually did makeup on her. And we were having a discussion because she's going to do makeup on herself, and she wanted to talk about what she was going to use to get this melting look that she wanted to do. It's a great idea. What you do or what special effects makeup artists do for a photograph is very different than wearing it for 6 hours and going to a party.
Sure.
So some of the things that they use to get that picture that you see that's just like, wow, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
The minute they stand up, it all falls off of them, because it's not possible for them to get it. So I'm really a huge proponent of using things that last and are viable and are I use a lot of household things. We use everything from oatmeal and rice to, I don't even know, you could think of all the things I pulled out of my gullet, but and applying them in a way that they'll actually last. You go to the party and drink, and 2 a.m. and you still look cool. And
Right.
But a lot of the artists that you see online are just doing things that are just for a picture.
Yeah.
So using there's a gelatin product that's really fantastic and malleable, and it works and stuff, but the minute you get warm, it falls off.
Wow.
Things that I do, I try to teach with latex and things that'll last, and you won't have that issue.
Sure.
Yeah,
but these other people, they're not making their money off doing makeup. They're making their money off of the YouTube
branding,
views and all the other nonsense.
Yeah.
And then I'm guessing sponsorship through some of the
products and sponsorships. That's where they get their cash.
You're actually, you're not the guy on the home improvement show.
No, I'm not teaching a product.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I don't know. Anything else that you can, any story you got that would be?
No. But I will tell you, though, if anybody wants to, you're always welcome to come and visit.
Oh, I guess I would ask you, if you were a 17, 18-year-old girl and you thought, boy, that's so interesting, I'd like to have that as my career, where should they start? I mean, it seems like it should be an art background more than...
Actually, no, it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
I've been able to teach a couple people, estheticians that come to me that have said they will never, ever, ever do makeup, and I've taught them, and now they have careers in makeup. So I wouldn't say that's true. I think there's a technical skill that can be taught.
Yeah.
I think then, everybody has some art in them, whether they think they do or not.
Right.
So it can be applied, and anybody can learn it. But I would say, if you're 17 or 18, I would tell you, first of all, everybody in the fucking world thinks they're a makeup artist these days.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Right.
So you have that.
Yeah, the filters can't help with that
The
either. 'Cause
filters
she puts
don't help.
a little
Editing
makeup
doesn't
on and
help.
filters,
Right,
it looks great.
right. You can't edit reality.
Right.
And I would say that you need to go get a license either in cosmetology or aesthetics so that you can understand sanitation and dealing with the public, because the public safety, health, and welfare comes first.
Sure.
Not, your prettiest makeup that you ever did. That's not important if somebody has pink eye or gets the flu from it.
Yeah, gross.
So they wouldn't even be considered for any job, any legitimate job, unless they carry a license to practice first. And in the state of Illinois, the licensing board says that you have to have a license in order to apply or remove makeup, and that goes for the makeup counters too.
Wow.
So no matter what they think of this career or how fantasy great it's going to be, you really do need a license in order to practice in the state of Illinois, and it's good practice otherwise.
Right.
So they should start with aesthetics.
Now regular makeup wise, is there because I see like someone like an Amy Winehouse, like she was going for a whole look, and I thought it was cool because she was kind of doing her own thing, sort of thing. But it seems like as soon as somebody does their own thing with that, it starts to become popular, and then everybody's doing that
Everything
same
trends,
exact.
yeah. It's
Right,
just like
right.
socks, One day everybody wears red socks, the next day, they've got macaroni and cheese on them, and then
Sure.
back to white. So
So does anyone ever come in and be like, I have this whole totally new idea for regular makeup, make me look like this?
No.
And you're like, oh, good Lord.
no, they basically come in and show me this exact same picture of Kim Kardashian every single
Oh,
time.
really?
I want to look like this. It's like, oh.
Yeah, well,
the
that's... I don't know.
Kardashians have single-handedly ruined the world of makeup.
That's the teenager thing, though. Like, everybody,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. I mean, my sons listen to some of the worst music ever. Like, that's horrible.
I'm sure our parents said the same thing.
I don't know. Like, at least there are people picking up instruments. Like, these guys are just
Yeah.
on, like, SoundCloud making noises.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
awful. But, well, good luck. And, you do have openings for your staff members have openings.
My
yet, or
staff
no?
members have openings on the 26th.
Okay.
I currently do not.
Right.
But I'm always willing to fit in something that's so awesome that I cannot resist it. So
There you go.
still got to ask.
So come up with something
Yeah.
awesome.
Still gotta
Awesome.
ask.
All right, this is the part of the podcast where I'm asking for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check us out. We're on iTunes. We're on Google Play, and rate us. Let me know what I'm doing wrong or right. Hope you got something out of it. I found this one to be super interesting. It's super cool that you can
glad.
like bend reality as far as that goes. Everybody needs a little bit of bending reality in life. Life sometimes is pretty boring.
Yeah.
But thanks. I appreciate it.
It's
cool.
great to be here.
Awesome. Terrific. That's it. All right.
Oh.
I am definitely going to have to figure out a better way to corral that cat, because holy cow.
Oh.
He was a nightmare.
He was so cute.